Liz Truss really needs help. I think she was a little bit mad before she became Prime Minister, but I think her whole time in office has really done a number on her, and somebody really needs to have an intervention. 2 years on from her 49 days in office, when she wreaked absolute havoc on the British economy and became the shortest serving Prime Minister in UK history, getting beaten by a lettuce, she's still claiming her mini-budget didn't crash the economy. And yet it's all the fault of the lefties, the Guardian reading, deep state, woke mob, global increases, you name it. It's everybody else's fault but hers. Her plans were to increase borrowing to give unfunded tax cuts to the rich in some kind of bizarre trickle-down economics expectation. This created a 60 billion black hole in the public finances, resulting in a loss in confidence and sending the currency crashing and interest rates soaring. Mortgage holders around the country saw payments go through the roof, and many are still paying for that now. Within days, she had to sack her Chancellor, appointing Jeremy Hunt to stabilise the market, and yet the video that we see here, she still thinks it's everybody else's fault but hers. I think the whole situation lives rent-free in her head. She can't let it go. She can't let go that she's destroyed her career in the space of 49 days. And throughout the video, it is just waffle. It does make me laugh, though, because she's complaining about the country was failing millionaires and people were leaving left, right and centre. And yet is completely oblivious to the fact that they had been in power for the best part of 12 years at this point. So the whole reason why the taxes were through the roof and millionaires and people were leaving the country left, right and centre, and the country isn't working as a whole, is because of conservative policies and conservative rule. And yet she's still got no one else to blame but her own party. The truth of the matter is, yes, to some degree she is right. Global interest rates were on the rise, but her mini-budget accelerated the UK's, and she can't and won't accept that. The Financial Times at the time said her explanations mirrored the absurdity of her premiership. Rather than the economic establishment keeping the things the same, Treasury officials helped her deliver a vision on her mini-budget. The Bank of England saved her bacon with skillful and innovative firefighting, and the Office for Budget Responsibility's forecast helped restore the credibility of the public finance outlook. Without them, her reputation would be even lower, if that's possible.
2 years ago today, we launched the mini-budget to reverse Britain's economic decline and to get our country growing again. If the mini-budget hadn't been undermined by the economic establishment, things would be different now. The economy would be growing, people would be paying lower energy bills thanks to getting on with fracking. Corporations would want to locate in the UK because of our relatively low tax rates. The self-employed would be doing more business thanks to improvements in IR35. And we would see a more dynamic, go-getting economy. But that didn't happen because the mini-budget was undermined by the economic establishment. The day before the mini-budget was announced, the Bank of England announced the sale of £40 billion worth of gilts. And they failed to properly regulate the pension markets and LDIs, creating financial instability. They've admitted that 2/3 of all the spike in gilt prices around the time of the mini-budget was down to them and their failure to regulate the market properly. The Office of Budget Responsibility leaked that there was a £70 billion black hole in the public finances. This subsequently turned out not to be true. But by then, it was too late. My government was forced out of office. And instead, what has happened is the continuation of the economic policies that weren't working for our country.
Preparing his pitch to make more than just a U-turn, instead junking the Prime Minister's entire policy plan.
We will reverse almost all the tax measures announced in the growth plan 3 weeks ago that have not started parliamentary legislation.
An enormous decision announced by the new Chancellor. The person who's meant to be in charge spent much of the day out of the public eye.
The PM is detained on urgent business.
Taxes at a record high. People leaving the United Kingdom with talent, millionaires, at a rate faster than any other country apart from China. Meanwhile, low-skilled migration into Britain is also at a record high. These people have been shown not to be contributing to our economy. People are facing high energy bills, and we're seeing some of our most important companies closing down. Steelworks, refineries, because of the extreme cost of net zero zealotry. We're already seeing what's happening. Tax revenues are not as high as expected because people and companies are leaving the country. The only way we're going to escape this economic doom loop is through supply-side economics, proper monetary policy, and cutting taxes. And in order to do that, the economic establishment have to be taken on.
She's almost like the gift that keeps on giving because of her inability to move on. Every time she writes a book or goes for an interview or does daft things like this on Twitter, it just reminds the public who are now paying those higher mortgage rates what she and her party did. And just because I find it really funny, never forget when she said that she's forced out of office, the very day before she said that she wasn't a quitter, that she was a fighter.
I am a fighter and not a quitter. That I am resigning as leader of the Conservative Party.
We have made mistakes. I'm sorry for those mistakes, but I've fixed the mistakes. I've appointed a new Chancellor. We have restored economic stability and fiscal discipline. And what I now want to do is go on and deliver for the public.